All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day of SaberSim's DFS office hours. Today is Tuesday, May 7th of 2024. Looking ahead, we have a 2-game NBA playoff slate. We have a 2-game NHL playoff slate. And we have an 8-game MLB main slate. So it should be a fun day of DFS. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the coaches over here at SaberSim. This is a show where we go over how to use the SaberSim app, answer any and all DFS-related questions. You get your questions in one of 3 ways here. First off, send us an email, support@sabersim.com. Second, post it live in the YouTube chat. Third way, post it in the office hours channel in our Discord server. If you're not in our Discord and want to get access to that channel, there is a link in the description of this video. You also get access to our similar channels, individual sport channels, and you get access to the rest of the SaberSim team. So can't say enough good things about the Discord. We do this show Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. We do the show here on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. So tune in and get your questions answered. But with that said, going to get the app pulled up here. Looks like we actually have a number of questions here to get us started today. So should be great. If you guys have any questions on your mind, now's a good time to get them into queue. And we will get to all the questions before the end of the show, as always. So first question here from Maze. Obviously, we can see how our actual lineups graded out in the post-contest sim. But if I how do I do that? So unfortunately, you cannot replace your lineups and rerun the post-contest sim at the moment. I think it would be a really good and super cool update to the app here. I do know that, the post-contest sims are can be very big as far as like contest size and how long they take to process. So I think, we have a bunch of different users rerunning content, post-contest sims like all the time. So I think it's a little bit more of like a technical challenge, something that the team needs to look into and kind of work through. But at the moment, you cannot replace your current lineup set with a new lineup set that you create and rerun the post-contest sim. However, I do think it is a great idea, and I'm happy to mention it to the team that people are asking about that feature. All right, question here from Montero. Question says, is there a way to use actual score plus the optimizer to see what the best actual score lineup was for a slate, or some other method to get the best actual lineup? Yeah, if you want to go back and hey, I want to build, the highest actual scoring lineup. What I would do here is, I could do this for the NBA slate from yesterday. I'm happy to do a demo. So go back to yesterday, open up a new build. You're going to see you have this actuals column, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download the table here. And then I don't even need to open it. I just need to go to upload. And then I go to upload CSV. And then I'm going to bring in that file that I just downloaded. Now, SaberSim is going to process the data here. So when you come in here, and you're going to see what you want to do is you want to match the actuals column to the projection header here. So I don't want to come in here and say, hey, the SaberSim projection is the number that I want to use for the projection. I want to turn off the projection, and then I want to go to actual, and then I want to make that the projection. And then when I click save, what it's going to do is it is going to insert the actual points that each player scored into the my projection column. And then what I would do is go to settings. You could probably turn min salary to 0. I want to go to optimizer mode. So min salary 0. And then what it would do now in optimizer mode is going to build the highest projected score lineups possible. So in this example, we have the actual scores for the players. You're going to use optimizer mode, and then it's going to build the highest actual scoring, and then the second highest actual scoring, and then the third, and then the fourth, and then the fifth. So this is how you would go about doing that. And then question, does that work on the basic plan? So I don't think that you can download the home table. So basically it'll work. The easier way to know if it'll work is if you have if you don't have the download button, then you're not going to be able to get the home screen table data. So that is your indication. I do know that all of the projected stats that you see are available for download on the pro plan. So that makes me think that you might need to be on the pro plan in order to download the table at all. But that is how you would know. All right. Next question here. Question says, I would like to set minimax exposures on, say, 4 teams based on ownership while leaving remaining teams on the slate at 0 and 100 minimax exposure to let the Sims decide. Tried a couple ways, but always seem to change everything to ownership min-max on the slate regardless. So it sounds like what you're trying to do is, say you're playing baseball like for today, right? We go over to MLB for today. And what you're trying to say is like, hey, I want to use, so much of X team, and I'm going to my team stacks, and I'm setting like a minimum exposure to some teams, and I want to leave it for the rest of the teams, right? So what you're doing is you're basically trying to guarantee you get some exposure to players. What I am aware of is that sometimes the pre-build team stack minimum exposures don't work correctly, I guess is like the right way to say it. What you could do is do it on like a player basis where you come in here and you say, hey, I want to go and look at the Dodgers, and I want to, set a minimum exposure to their players. And you can I guess there's a couple different ways to do this. One of them is you do them in app here, right? So I come into filter by the Dodgers. I go to their batters. I set minimum exposures to this team, right? And then I could do it, for another team, that might be a little bit tedious here. I think maybe a little bit better way to do this would be in the home screen CSV, kind of like we were doing before. So what I would do is download this page, open it up, and then I could come in here and add filters to row 1, and then I could filter by team. So say I want to do, these top 4 teams, right? Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, Colorado. These are the 4 teams I have here that I know I want exposure to these players, and maybe I don't care for the pitchers, right? So I uncheck the pitchers in the position column, and then I come into minimum exposure. I'm going to set, 5% to to all the players here, all 9 batters for each team. So the easiest way to do is put 5 in cell row 1 and then 5 in row 2, and then highlight them together and then drag it down for the players in question here. I'm going to do all of the players with a projection, and I could even sort by projection to make sure I get everybody. And now what I would do is turn off my filters. I would save this. Oops, I didn't mean to revert that. Save it and turn off my filters. Save it again. Come back to upload. Go to upload CSV. Grab that document. Should auto match. Just make sure it does. Where is my minimum exposure? Okay, minimum exposure, check. Click save. And then I come in here and I go and sort by Dodgers, and then I see. Oh, I didn't do the Dodgers. I did Atlanta. Atlanta, Boston, all these other teams. Okay, and then now all of the batters for Atlanta now have a 5% minimum exposure. So definitely like some added steps there. We do want to get the functionality working back pre-build for the team stacks, but this is, how to do it immediately. And I mean, I don't know. I personally feel like doing it in the CSV is a little bit faster. than doing it in the app here, because you can't like drag in the app, like drag it down. So that is probably the best way I could think of. If anybody else has any ideas about how to do that quickly, always open to suggestions. All right, let's zoom in a little bit here, get some real estate back on the screen, and going to hit this next question here. Question says, if I'm building portfolios, I'd say 20 lineups, and I'm grading those portfolios on risk-adjusted ROI. Would using an omega ratio for each portfolio on top of the RAROI SaberSim generates be double counting? I'm not sure if RAROI is already an omega ratio or at least very similar. So you're correct. So, we coined the term risk-adjusted ROI because we felt that it alluded to what omega ratio was doing rather than trying to explain what omega ratio does. So just so we're very clear, RAROI is the omega ratio of the lineup. And, for those not familiar with the term, basically what omega ratio is doing in a simplified version is it's looking at how much the lineup wins and how often it wins versus how much the lineup loses and how often it loses. So like a good example is you could have two lineups with 100% ROI. Well, lineup one, in an extreme case, won the contest 3 times and never cashed again. And then lineup two won the contest 1 time, but it had a lot of other high cashing finishes to get it to the same ROI number. Well, in this case, lineup one that won 3 times and never won again is going to be way riskier than lineup two, where it finished, with these high percentile finishes more often to get it to that same number. So the lineup two is like what the RAROI would favor, right? That lineup would have a better RAROI score. Therefore, it has a better omega ratio. The omega ratio would like favor that lineup. So that's what RAROI is doing. And, but we just use the term risk adjusted ROI because we're trying to let customers know that that this specific metric is trying to account for a risk component for playing each lineup. So it would be double counting, but I do like where your head is at with the idea there. All right. Looks like we are all caught up with questions here in the Discord. Taking a quick peek here in the YouTube chat. Looks like we're all caught up here as well. So it looks like we're all set. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I will be right back here tomorrow, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern for our next show. So until then, everybody, take care. Good luck. I'll see you all. Thanks. Bye.